The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. We have a very special guest for you today from the state of California, Richard Wilkinson. Richard's been recognized by the Wall Street Journal as one of the top realtors in the nation. Richard, welcome to the show. Love having top realtors. That's the Icons of Real Estate. And it sounds like
right.
Yeah.
You can't be on Icons of Real Estate and it's like one of the bottom 10% in the nation.
I just started last week. And I'm really looking to get some clients. I hope this helps.
I'm in real estate because I love houses.
I watch HGTV.
Looks easy.
I always say, like, HGTV, as much as people enjoy it, it helps real estate. Man, it's a curse for people who want to get into it because they think, hey, man, I'm just going to sell $50 million homes all day. It's easy.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely. Especially here in LA, which is where I'm headquartered.
Right.
It's like, okay, people see that for a while and they give me a call and they go, hey, man, think about getting my license. So yeah, absolutely.
You're like, great, here's some door hangers.
Yeah.
Beat the pants. So, hey, Richard, how did you start, man? Let's hear your story, where you started. And
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a gigantic cliche here in Los Angeles. I went to college in South Florida in Boca Raton, which is near where you are.
Yeah.
I have a degree in acting and directing.
Oh,
so I moved to New York City to pursue acting and directing, which I was doing. And one of my first jobs I got there was a independent film that I was in. And they had like a $2 million budget. And so I grew up in like rural Louisiana. So I never knew anyone who had $2 million. And these guys seemed pretty young. And so I was asking the sound guy one day, he was putting a microphone on me and I was like, hey man, how do these guys have all this money?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, they own a bunch of real estate. And I was like, oh, and I kind of just tucked it in the back of my mind and said, oh, I'll be a successful actor, writer, director, and I'll buy a bunch of real estate. And that'll be my plan. And so I was working in New York and met my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and we have 3 kids together. But so we both had opportunities that brought us to Los Angeles. She was in production and was working for the head of a large talent agency in Beverly Hills. I had a manager out here, and we came out to pursue our dreams of fame and fortune, and just kept working hard at it, but couldn't get it to pay the bills. And I thought we got married, and we wanted to have a family, and so my wife was pregnant with our first son, and I thought, I got to do something. I don't want to be. I'm never going to be the hot young. Not that I ever was. I'm never going to be the hot young thing. Definitely now. I'm pushing mid 30s. And so what can I do in LA? And I was like everybody else. I thought, oh, this LA, I think LA is a real estate mecca.
Yeah.
It seems pretty easy. It seems like all I do is, show someone 3 houses, they point at one, and then someone gives me a check. I thought that's how it worked. I mean, I was so green that I remember when I got my license, I was sitting in like an open house like class at Keller Williams where I first started. And I remember raising my hand and going, so when I finish the open house and I get the list of names, who do I give that to? And everyone raises their hand. They're like, I'll take it, and I had no idea. They're like, oh, that's the lead. Those are the leads. That's the business.
Right.
And so this was in like 2007. And I had no idea what was going on. I always joke that like I was walking out with my real estate license and everyone was running in the other direction. And I was like, hey guys, where's everyone going? And
what happened?
And so it was like one of those ignorance is bliss things where like I didn't know any better. And so I just started working. I started at Keller Williams. I remember coming home to my wife, who was, now getting more and more pregnant. and thinking to myself, man, how does anybody make a freaking dollar in this business? Like, I don't understand it. Like, I can't figure it out, you know? And then I went to, I transferred my license to a small brokerage, like a boutique brokerage in an area called Los Feliz in Los Angeles. And there was a young guy who was a broker there, and he was very successful in the run up to '07. Like, he bought a ton of property, you know, with no money down loans. But the trick was he kept it all. Like, where everyone else lost their shirts, he kept all. He was able to keep all his properties.
Right.
And so all of his agents who were in when it was, you know, the solid days, they all started to slowly fall off. But I didn't have any options, and I had a baby on the way, so I just kept showing up every day and asking tons of questions. And he gave me scripts, and he, you know, would you know, I remember asking him like all these contractual questions. And one day he's like, "Hey, Rich, do me a favor, read the whole purchase agreement, and then write down your questions and come talk to me," you know. And so
Right.
I learned a lot, and I realized that it was the thing I was looking for in entertainment, which was sort of a bit of a structure and a formula, and something I could really get good at and then see results from that. And so I learned, like, okay, if I learn how to have really good conversations with people, then I all of a sudden I'm able to like make these appointments, you know. And so all of a sudden I'm seeing all these results, you know. Like, my first year, granted, it was terrible. Like, I think I made $23,000
Right.
that first year and sold 2 houses. But then the next year it was like 15 houses, and the next year it was 20 houses, and it was like all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, I can. It's sort of a meritocracy here. Like, as
Yeah.
good as I get is as high. There's no, you know, it's a blue sky business. There's no guarantees, but there's no limits. And I really love that aspect of it. And so that's 2007. I got in the business and started trying to figure out how to make it work. That was my intro.
Nice. And great timing too, because I listened to your story, Richard, and you know, most of the icons that I talked to, people have been very successful, all were around in 2007, 2008. You know, there are not a lot of, you know, really young agents I talked to that are super successful yet, but were around then and did exactly what you did, where they walked in the door when everybody else walked out. So not only is the timing interesting, but the way you reacted to it. It's real easy to be Chicken Little, right? You know, the sky is falling, and panic and chase the next, you know, flashy ball. So
Yeah.
it says a lot about yourself as a person. So true, your spouse is now in business with you as well.
Yeah, so my wife Jennifer, who is a total powerhouse, and is smart, and as she is beautiful, which is extremely. And hope, honey, I hope he's watched this.
Yeah, I'll send her the clip of that,
Please
Rich.
send her
Don't
that
worry.
outtake.
Yeah.
And so, but she's not licensed. She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to sell real estate. She doesn't want to really interface with clients, even though she's incredibly personable and wonderful. But her real skill set is, you know, when I met her in an acting class in New York, and then she quickly was like, I don't like doing this. And then she got into production. I was working on a film. They needed some help. I said, hey, I'm dating this girl. She's really smart, and, like, you know, got her act together. They hired her, and she ended up getting a producer credit on the film, which is quite an accomplishment if you don't know
Yeah.
anything about entertainment.
Yeah.
And then she came out to LA, was the head of a very large talent agency. She was the president's right-hand person.
Okay.
So her skill set is organization, like large scale organization, and making sure things are done correctly, and also has a really high attention to detail and customer service. So she's our operations officer and our finance officer.
Gotcha.
So she's the one who allows me to, like, be the face of the organization, you know, handle negotiations. You know, like,
Right.
I joke sometimes, like, just give me the bold strokes, don't bore me with the details.
Right.
You know, obviously I'm detail oriented, but you know, I can go into a meeting, I can have that meeting, have it be a great meeting, and then turn to her and my assistant and say, okay, I need that MLS search set up like that. I need this sent over there. I need that over there. And
Right.
it frees me up to really be able to go and cultivate relationship and cultivate business and put deals together.
Yeah. Very, very nice. You know, I used to always say,
And also,
yeah.
I say it in jest, but in all seriousness, like, I didn't marry her to never see her. The
Yeah, I love
idea
that.
wasn't like, let's get married and I'll see you in the morning from like 6 to 7:30,
Right.
and we won't see each other, and I'll see you, from 6 to 9, and then we'll get a little time on the weekends. Like I love being around her, and I feel very fortunate.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We spend a lot of time together.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And I think that's obviously you've been married for a bit.
Yeah.
As have I. I've been married 32 years.
Oh,
And
congratulations. That's
yeah,
awesome.
thank you. And did you say you have multiple children?
I have multiple children
Was
from
it
multiple children. Say multiple children from multiple wives. No,
okay?
I don't know. I have multiple children from my wife. And I
Nice.
have a 15-year-old, 13-year-old, and a soon to be, as of this weekend, 10-year-old,
No,
two boys and a girl.
congratulations. That's fantastic. I always jest, I always joke. Um, I'll talk to agents, brokers, whomever, and they'll always say I have this many kids, this many kids, and it's I have four, and they
Oh,
all and they're all boys, and they
oh
all range.
wow.
They're all 22 to 29, and it's just really strange when I talk to someone that has four, right? Because four is kind of a
Mhm.
lot. You kind
Yeah.
of get into that.
Four is the new eight.
Yeah, four is the new eight, right? It's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, Tim, what was wrong with you? And so I said, I'm just going to start another podcast. The Four Kids and Up Club.
Yeah.
I was, I
Four on
was
the floor. How about this?
yeah,
Four on the floor, Tim.
four
There you
on the
go.
floor, but that might conjure up some really weird imagery. But I don't know. That's
I
not.
was thinking more like a shifter in a car, a four on
Oh,
the
true.
floor.
That's hilarious. So you do work with your spouse, which is fantastic. You do have a team, correct? You got a team
Yeah.
that works around you. Tell me about the team.
Yeah, it's a small team. I always say we're like the Navy SEALs of real estate. We're small, we're excellent, we're highly trained and highly effective.
Right.
I've had larger teams. I've cultivated a larger team over the years, and then just really realized that it was more of an ego thing,
Yeah.
right? I wanted to have like, I want to have a big team, and then I realized that I felt like the quality of the client experience was suffering, the brand was suffering, and I was only really brought in when there was a problem, which started to happen more and more regularly to
Right.
help problem solve. Um, and I just kind of I said, you know what, if I had more support, I could handle this business and deliver a higher level of service and also be more profitable, and so I just started paring it all back. And then, COVID in a strange way was sort of a blessing because it was sort of like a way for people to go, hey, look, this sort of cataclysmic thing is happening. It might be a great time for you to kind of strike out on your own and,
Yeah.
figure it out. And so now I have a team with two agents. And I have my assistant, and I have Jennifer, and I have a transaction coordinator that we work with, all the time. And it's just great. It's one of those things that I realize that like I feel like the real estate can be a business that's like really heavy on comparison.
Yeah.
You're always like, it's easy to look around and see what people do, and you can. It's kind of one of these weird businesses where you can almost get a sense of what someone makes. Like, like I can, like most people, like if I meet a doctor and an attorney, like I have no idea what they really make,
Right.
but like if I meet an agent and they do like 50 transactions, I have a rough idea of what their income is.
Right.
And
Right.
so it's a rare business that way. And so I remember for years I was like, oh, I want to do 100 transactions, and I want to make whatever. I want to make $1 million this year. And it was like every year it was like, and then finally I was like, you know what? I want to have a certain kind of life.
Yeah.
I want to have a certain kind of life, and I want a certain kind of business, and I want a certain kind of client. Like, because there were years where like I would say I was like a 1910 prize fighter. Like I would take all comers, like get in the
Yes.
ring, yeah, like let's go, come on, like, and so, but then it was I remember having clients and deals where it was like when it was over, it took me like 4 weeks to like recover, like to
Yeah.
get my energy back and
Right.
to get the will to like go back and be like, okay, let's do another one. You got to do
Yeah.
another, and
Yeah.
And so I just decided, bigger is not necessarily better.
Yeah.
I have a nice life, I make a nice living, and it's a business that I want. I mean, I work with people that like I really enjoy working with. Like we have fun, like I use a lot of humor in my business and in my
Nice.
communications. And so my clients are like a lot of them are entertainment people. So
Right.
it's weird. Like we do a lot of, like, if we show up for showings or we're inspections, like it's like a lot of like weird comedy improvisation, and then we pivot to like talking about real estate stuff, and then like
Right.
it's so it's always very.
That's
I
that's
think
great.
I have an ability to make a very stressful situation for people fairly light,
Yeah.
and then offer a lot of clarity based on my knowledge and my kind of commitment to being really good. So it's a nice balance, and I don't remember what your question was.
It doesn't matter. No, I mean, we were talking about your team, and
Oh yeah, team.
yeah,
Smaller is better for me.
yeah, smaller is
And
better.
it's quality of business, quality of life
Yeah,
is and quality of the experience for the client over the years has
right.
become paramount. I think not, I think paramount's the right word. It's become the priority.
Yeah,
Um,
Paramount's a good word. Since they're
yeah,
probably
sounds
right down
good.
the street.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah. I got an uncle that lives in Beverly Hills. He's just recently passed away, but
Hmm.
I lived in Ventura for quite some time, so I'm
Okay.
familiar with the area. Though Ventura is not exactly LA, but
Close.
it's got its own crew. I'll just say so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, so all right, so we talked about how you started, talked about the relationship working with
Mhm.
your lovely spouse. Um, we talked about your team. So let's dig it a little deeper then.
Yeah.
Not to throw you a curveball or
Oh
anything,
gosh.
but if I had a magic wand, right?
Uh-huh.
Prestidigitation, and I could fix anything that
Sure.
you had going on right now in your business world, any
Yeah.
issues that you had, what would it be? What could I do?
What were my, oh God, my issues? Man, I should bring my wife in for that because she keeps a nice long laundry list of
I
things that I
bet.
could improve upon.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's, for me, and this is going to be really basic, and I feel like the things um that agents struggle with are very basic, and you kind of have to work on them all the time. For me, it's time blocking.
Okay.
you know like every day I have a schedule, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm so easily taken off my schedule that, like, if someone could come in and just wave a magic wand over me and help me just go from time block to time block to time
Right.
block,
Right.
that would be incredibly helpful.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty common in the real estate world. I think a lot of brokers, agents, whomever have difficulty with that because at times we're at the whim of our clientele. We're at the
Mhm.
whim of weather, not so much where you guys are, but where I'm at.
Right.
We're at the whim of a lot of other things, and that time block, unlike me that sits in front of a computer for most of the day talking to people on a video stream,
Right.
my time blocks are pretty simple. Other than like
Yeah.
the other day when I called you and we were having post storm outage
Internet
of
issues.
internet.
Yeah.
But actually going out and showing homes, and not that I do that, but things change, traffic, people, all kinds of things,
Yeah.
and it's
Also, I'm like, I mean, I really love relationship.
yeah,
I like talking to people. I
sure,
love hearing people's stories. I love connecting with people. My business is really like 75 to 80% repeat and referral, and so my relationship with my client base is like super important,
yeah,
and always
sure,
calling to check in and see if they need anything, like
right,
I really operate from a place of like, how can I help? Any
right,
situation that comes in front of me, the first thing I ask myself is, okay, how can I help? How can I help this situation? What can I do right now to
yeah,
make this better? And so I don't, if I'm in a great conversation with someone, I don't want to be like, well, hey, I gotta jump because I only have 5 minutes allotted for you. like, it's just not it's not the basis of my business,
Right.
So sometimes I sit down to have, 2 or 3 hour block of, database phone calls, and there may be 25 or 30 people there, and I get through 5,
Yeah.
because I've had like, 5 or 6 really good conversations with people, so.
Right. I agree with that. I spoke to someone a couple of days ago, and they're kind of in the real estate motivation business, more like coaching.
Mhm. Sure.
And we were going to have a meeting away from the podcast about some other business. And he's like, yeah. I do 15, 10, 15-minute meetings on these things. And I was like, 10 to 15 minutes? What the heck can we
What the
get
heck?
accomplished
What
in
happens?
15 minutes? There's gonna be a slideshow? I mean, what? I don't understand.
Right.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Obviously, you and I both share, I think, that gift, I call it gift of gab, but just that ability to listen to others and reciprocate
Yeah.
in the conversation, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's being genuinely. This is what I always tell my team. I'm like, look, just be genuinely curious. Like
Yeah,
everybody's got a story, right? And like rarely does anyone get the opportunity to tell their story,
yeah,
And so when we like, it's like a weird thing. Like when we meet people at open houses, like we have like scripts and questions that are very like purposeful. Like we have a script, but that script is really, it on the surface it feels very casual, but everything is geared to opening the person up,
yeah,
and allowing them to tell their story, and once they tell their story, like their neurons fire off in their brain and they feel really good because they're
sure.
sharing their story, and they're sharing it to someone who's genuinely interested, and so when it comes to it, at the end of it, it's almost like, well, we should work together, right?
Right,
And
right.
and that's what
It's
we're
a
sort of
natural
doing.
fit right
It's
here.
a
Look at
natural
this.
fit. Like I feel good around you, and you seem to
Yeah.
really know what you're doing, and why don't we work together?
It's
So yeah,
just, it can be just that simple. Yeah, that's
yes.
awesome. So
So I
we're
need
kind of
your help. I need a time block fairy to come and help me stay on track.
uh so we're kind of winding down.
Yeah.
And so before I get into my last question, how could someone reach you, Richard? Whether they want a list or whether they want to buy, what's the best way to reach out to you?
All they have to do, Tim, is close their eyes and just think about me really hard, and I'll get it. I'll get the message, and I
Okay,
know how to reach them.
that's awesome. Do I click my key?
Or or they could go to my website, which would have all of my contact information and access to all my social media, and
I
just
love
call me or email me. I do the old
it.
fashioned stuff too.
Yeah.
So I do, and not, I mean, I also, I've been working in real estate since '07 here in Los Angeles, so we touched on. And as part of, working with teams or building my team for the last, whatever,
Nice.
7 years.
And that was only, you said since you were 7, so that was what, only 20 years ago, right?
That was only 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was one of the first toddlers to be granted a real estate license in
Your
the state of
your
California.
open houses with Big Bird, Barbie, and Ken.
Exactly. And they call it I cited the Doogie Howser sitcom as saying, like, if Doogie can practice medicine
Right,
as a teenage boy,
right.
then by God, I should be able to practice real estate as a 7-year-old child.
Why not?
And they said, yeah, you're
No,
right.
yeah, no
You're
one's
right.
dying. No
No
one's gonna
one's
die.
dying here. Houses don't bleed.
15-year-old can remove an appendix. You could definitely close on a home and get escrow on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's how it started.
Yeah, awesome stuff, man. You're great. I think I
But
could
I,
talk
I
all
also
this.
want to plug one more thing, is that
Yeah,
in my years of working with team members I really love, like all of a sudden and this is going to, once again, my cliche of being like, I was an actor in Los Angeles and now I'm a
right.
real estate in Los Angeles. Guess what? It gets worse.
Uh-oh.
I also do coaching as
Oh, there you
well.
go. There you
So,
go.
so if there's also if you go to my our website, which is our real estate website, there's also a link
Right.
there for that too. So I work with, clients across the country and helping them, um, get build businesses that they
Okay.
want to have that are based on
Right.
relationship and high level communication, and also how to, using emotional intelligence and tactical empathy to help make real estate transactions more smooth and client communication more smooth.
Smooth. That's what it should be called. The smooth coaching
Smooth.
method.
Yeah. Smooth. It's actually Zen in the art of selling real estate.
Oh, nice. Well, hey, after this podcast that's going to be ending here shortly, let's spend a minute or two talking about that because I'm kind of interested. And maybe I can help you out on that. But okay, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. And something I always like
Tim,
to do.
sorry, 1 second, Tim. Did I mention to you that I'm tall? I'm 6'3".
You are a giant.
I'm 6'3".
Wow.
So I'm taller than most realtors.
You are. That always
average
helps.
Yeah, average realtor sells 3.5 houses annually. Average realtor height is about 5'7" to 5'10".
Wow, that would be me. I just come over that 5'8" and I say 5'9", but it's 5'8" and a half.
Yeah, we all know.
I'm Irish.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I'm
pretty wide this way though, and I got a big head.
Yeah. No, your head's deceiving. Like you have a tall head.
It's what my wife says. Your head's so tall.
All right.
I wish the rest of you were. No. Okay, so what I always like to say, I'm the DJ, you're the hit record, right? I'm just spinning things here. So, last words, whatever you want to talk about, plug. You want to talk about business, or maybe your favorite dog kennel in the area, whatever it might be. You have the last.
I am really I've been working on this emotional intelligence and tactical empathy approach for probably 3.5, 4 years now. And it's based on a book by a gentleman named Chris Voss, which you may have heard of. He wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. He is a former FBI hostage negotiator. I've done a small class with him in Los Angeles, in addition to years of being in groups and working on this communication, and even created a talk around it about how I apply it to real estate and how it really has changed my life and my approach. And the talk's called Zen in the Art of Selling Real Estate: How Tactical Empathy, Emotional Intelligence, and Tactical Empathy Saved My Life. And so I just think that is gold. It takes all the, because I think most real estate agents are in this space, and not by any fault of their own. I think a lot of the training out there is about convincing, clever language and convincing and closing, and this is really about getting on it's about understanding what the other person is thinking and feeling, and creating a space using very limited language that allows them to really divulge what they're truly thinking and feeling, and it's okay. It's I think one of the big things that I take out of it is a quote that Chris says, which is basically, it's not a sin to lose business, but it's and I think realtors, are myself included, in the past, were guilty of holding on to hope for so long, thinking that this person was going to do business, where I have conversations now and I'm like, okay, this person does not want to do business with me, or they don't want to do business with anybody. And that's okay. I'm helping them understand that and letting them know it's okay. And now they can move on with more clarity, and I can move on really quickly to someone else who wants to do business.
I always liken that, Richard, as you were saying that, it kind of conjured some things in my mind. One of them being that, in anything that you're trying to either finish out, close, whatever the term is you want to use, it always ends up being the lottery ticket in your pocket, right? You never want to pull it out and check the numbers, because it could still be a winner.
Absolutely.
But the reality is, once you read those numbers and figure it out one way or the other, you move on.
No, absolutely.
If you don't check it, it could be.
You're always a winner. You know what I mean? It's I used to have a database with 20,000 people in it. Right? Do I know 20,000 people? No. Do they know me? No. But in my mind, it was okay, if 1% of those 20,000 people
Right.
do business with me, man, it's going to be a hell of a year,
Right.
and then now my whole, like, one of my big focuses is to get that thing down to, like, get my database down to like 300 people,
Right.
like people that I know, that if I pick up the phone and I call them, they know who I am,
Right.
and like really mind, like go, what do they say? Go inch wide, mile deep.
Oh, deep. Yeah.
Where before I was going 20 miles wide and 1 inch deep.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, rambling again, Tim.
That's all right. I'm a rambling man, so I get it.
Yeah.
Richard, thanks so much for being on the show. Really enjoyed it. I
Yeah,
definitely
man.
catch up over the next 3, 6, 9 months, and we can talk movie talk too, because I have a little
Love it.
background in that too, and I'd
I would
love to
love
share
that.
that. Yeah. So just go back and watch Emergency from 1977. You're gonna see this kid with a sailor hat on, and well,
Oh, wow.
yeah. And I was in a little flick called The Magic Barrel in 1978. So
Nice, man.
yeah, that was the stint of my life in
I thought you were going to
77.
say, go back and watch Emergency. You'll see a kid in a hat. That kid was Don Johnson.
Now living the life. Yeah. No, that little
That's
run.
awesome, man.
I had white hair and
Out here,
yeah.
is that what you were doing out here in Ventura when you were
No,
out for that?
well, man, that story will not be for airtime quality. That will be you and I just talking about why
Okay.
I was in Ventura. But um, that's a whole crazy story. But I did do a couple of little stints as things, and
Nice.
just
That's
yeah, it was
fun.
fun. I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time. So I don't know where
That's
that
awesome,
money, I
man.
don't know where that money went, but I'm sure my mom knows. Uh,
Yeah.
man, it's been great. I look forward to our
Yeah.
next talk. Thanks so much.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for making the time.
Yep.